2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Just doing my thing.
And thank you for tuning in to the Voice of C38. I am Brendan Wyatt. Matt's back. Yay!
Hey, thanks for having me.
But Brian's gone. But we got Colin, though.
Yay!
And we can't seem to get rid of him, but Austin's here, too.
Well met.
Yeah. All right. Well, our new starting 11 is our old starting 11.
Apparently, you people don't want to hear about the other parts of MLS.
Well, I think that why care about other teams and what they're doing? It just makes us remember where we're at right now.
Well, I like to view history in context.
Okay, well, in context, the Rapids lost to themselves for sure.
Three-way tie for last. We're part of the menage a trois for last place.
Well, at least we're not alone. I mean, that would really kind of...
Yeah, that would be just sad, right?
But, yeah. Let's just chat about our game. I'm sure we could probably fill 11 minutes-ish chatting about our game, even though it wasn't really necessarily the greatest of games, especially the outcome of it. The most negative way I could put it is the only way we could lose to DC is by scoring on ourselves.
Going back to watch the highlights, it didn't look as bad as I remembered. Sober. 18 shots on goal, though. That's pretty good for us, for a Rapids team.
Yeah.
I mean, 18 shots. I don't know how many on goal. But 18 shots blows away our average. Blows it away.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think
it's just bad luck otherwise. I think.
Well, in the first half,
a great goalie on their side.
In the first half, I felt like the guys were just trying to figure things out. We had three central midfielders. One of them needed to figure out how to play wide. And then, an unfortunate event happened, and that kind of put them on their heels. But the guys never gave up, and we've seen them kind of give up in games before. So there's some positives to take away from.
What about that own goal? I mean, there was no pressure on Watts. Did he make the right call? And
No. That was one of those things where I think he just didn't know what else to do.
But is that there was, like I said, no pressure? Was that just we go backwards? That's the Rapids
yeah, a little
way.
bit. That's kind of what I felt like. It was just kind of.
It seemed like Howard wasn't ready for.
Right,
I mean, obviously wasn't ready for that. He wasn't even anywhere near.
No, I don't think he was thinking it was coming to him at all. So
no, I don't know if he thought that maybe he had pressure on him. Like it obviously wasn't there or hard pressured, but he was facing the goal, and every once in a while you're going to have a defender make mistakes. Everybody does, and he just happened to score on our own team.
I think he was facing the opposing team. I think he was aware of his space.
It was kind of like a volley backwards.
It wasn't a hurried shot. It wasn't under panic or duress at all.
It was just kind of.
It was just almost like instinctive. I get the ball, now I go backwards. That's what I was taught.
That's kind of how I took it. I felt like, and I feel like if you watch how many times Tim Howard touches the ball a game, it's more than any keeper should. And I think that was kind of the mentality that these guys had to have when, being coached under Pablo, is if you don't know what to do with it, go back. And that's that's not necessarily the best way of thinking about things, especially if you're professionals. I mean, you could tell your U14 kids that, but still, you got to have a goalie who's going to be great on their feet too.
Yeah.
Well, and it's if you're looking at it from it's okay to think, okay, if I can't go forward or if I feel like I'm going to lose the ball going forward, playing it backward isn't a problem. The problem is that we have our defensive line constantly playing it backward, and we shouldn't be under that kind of pressure where we have to play it back to Howard that much. Like, someone should be able to get open where we have open lines forward to distribute to.
Right, and of all people, Watts has the power to just shoot that up forward. I mean, he can clear that.
He's a great long ball passer.
He is strong as hell.
And shooter, apparently.
He had a bad moment. It was terrible. And he tweeted about it. He took the whole loss on himself. And
he was a professional about it, and you feel bad about it. I mean, you feel bad for him, too.
I mean, I feel like it was, a costly mistake, sure, but in the end, it was just that, a mistake. And yeah, I think Watts handled himself incredibly well, given what happened.
Well, I think the fans kind of handled it well, too. You know, they didn't get down on him. They were encouraging
not
him.
where I was.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
they
saying
were
at
tearing
least-
Not where I
into
was
him
either.
all game.
at least in my perspective from Twitter, people were a lot harder on Howard for that than they were on Watts.
And you give, some people time to reflect on it and sober up
Yeah.
and sometimes see the replay. But
and you
it
get
just
some
sucked.
bad luck in that game. Like he has that big, and Watts has been solid all season, so he makes a few mistakes here and there, and that one was just a really big one. And then we get a couple off of the woodwork, along with what I believe was a handball in their box.
Yeah.
Like that, we had you said 18 shots. That's a lot for us. That's
That is.
probably more than the last 3 games combined.
It probably is. I think Fleming said it was the most since they did that about that in June 20th or something. But those are like the only 2 instances this season where we've had that many shots taken.
So I thought we were definitely in the game, and I thought we were pressuring. I think that we had the right lineup. I felt he put out a good lineup to start with. And they have to get used to playing with each other. Nana hasn't hit the field that much. Gashi hasn't hit the field that much. Like, you changed your format, too. Your lineup was a 4-3-3, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, sure was.
So, like, you're changing a lot of things, which is what we wanted to do. But it takes a game or two to kind of get used to that
Oh,
play
yeah.
style and those kind of players.
Of course, and especially if I'm right about my thinking about Watts, is if he's playing to please the coach, he's not playing right. So it takes time to break old habits too.
Yeah, and I meant to ask you, Austin, about the lineup, and you brought it up because I felt like he did kind of what you've been talking about for 2 years now, it seems, about guys that aren't necessarily 100% fit, but they're your star players, like Gashi, like Nana. And they weren't 100% fit, but they got the start, whereas with Pablo, they wouldn't have got the start. They might have come off the bench only until they're 100%. So it was kind of Austin's way, I felt like.
Is Nana still not 100%?
Oh, no.
No.
What's is it still his back or is there something new?
It's fitness. It's just because, because of the back, he wasn't able to get fit, and he probably wasn't fully 100% fit when he busted his back. So, a lot of the things that I'm hearing, and I chatted with Cookie yesterday, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but they all feel like once Nana gets fit enough for 90, things are going to be different.
Well, we
So-
did see a demonstration of power from Nana for the first time ever. I think that shot he took, that was Gashi-esque.
Well, and not
about
only
30
that,
yards out.
if you pull up his passing stats, it's not like great and stellar, like, creative Giovinco Messi kind of stuff, but it's productive.
Well, going back to his demo reel, his highlight reel before we got him, he is his own assist maker.
Right.
He was in an assist situation where he was putting balls in there that weren't getting finished. Then he ended up having
Finishing
to
'em.
do it himself,
Right.
and he finds himself in a lateral move, I think. But we did see a demonstration of what he can do.
Yep, and I think that Gashi is not too far away too. Obviously, he goes a little bit further in the game, and that kind of just shows where he's at with his fitness. And again, once you're there, I think balls will start going into the net. Unfortunately, this team is going to start finding their rhythm, I feel, right at the end when, clearly it's a little too late, but still, at least it'll happen, I think.
But speaking of fitness and going, Wood Boateng have started. Would he have subbed in? Does it matter if he starts and subs out or doesn't start and sub in? Does it matter the Pablo method of subbing him in later, or apparently the Cook method of let's start him, give him some confidence? I think that'd be a more confidence builder. Hey, you're going to start today. We'll sub you out when we need to, based on fitness. All decisions based on fitness.
Well, not only that, like Austin's argument has been, if these guys are fit enough to go that long, get them out there and give them that much time to produce. When you're only giving them 5-10 minutes to do something on the field, they're really not doing much.
Right,
You
and
need
they're
a guy
trying to-
like...
They're trying to catch up to the tempo that's already been
Right.
established.
Guys like Alan Gordon can come off the bench for 10 minutes and be productive. Connor Casey could do it.
Alan
But,
Gordon's got
you
that
know,
sheer will of, I got to get this shirt off of me. I got to get this damn shirt's got
That's
to
a good
come
way to
off.
put it, yes.
I will do whatever it takes.
As long as he doesn't go and push a ref afterwards.
Well, and look, we had our 3 subs by the 80th minute, 81st minute, I believe. All 3 of them.
I think it was even sooner than
Yeah,
that.
I think we had a 2 double sub at one
Yeah,
point to finish us off.
and that sub, all the by the third sub, it was a formation change. It was actually back to the 4-2-3-1. So it was kind of a different. He utilized those guys and changed the formation to the way they played the best. And God damn it, Gat needs to finish just once, because I swear once he gets a goal, there's going to be like that star player that once wore red, white, and blue will probably start to come back, because
Again, he needs the confidence too.
he's almost there too.
With no highlight reel to
We
speak
had the
of.
same problem
Right.
with Gashi. Gashi went on the drought, and it affects you. It really does. It's hard. Like, if you haven't played sports on a competitive level, it's hard to understand. When you go on a loss streak, there's a reason you go on a loss streak. Like, it just gets in your head, and there's nothing you can do until you get that goal or whatever it happens to be that you're competing in.
I wonder
Then it
if
snaps, and all of a sudden you're back to where you were at because you get your confidence back.
I wonder if Pablo's passion could actually drag people down in that kind of situation where you're in a drought, where your attitude's in the toilet. I'll bet his, speeches.
There wasn't
his-
much
his
sympathy,
motivational
probably.
speeches.
No,
Really?
I don't think
'Cause
so.
I don't know. He could be very well spoken. I bet he would do more damage than good. When you see that preview of, that clip they put up of Cook's pre-match speech, it was exactly what you would expect a pre-match speech to sound like. I feel like Pablo would be all waxing poetic and actually dragging you down, like, oh shit, this is my whole career based on this. And there's got to be that part of the guy's mentality that's like, if Pablo doesn't like what I do today, I may not start next time.
Right.
And that's a whole lot of negative pressure too.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help, especially when you're slumping. So I think these guys are going to start to find themselves in the next few games, and we're gonna kind of see that. And they play a handful of games all kind of together, so they're gonna figure it out in games, not in training. So this will get interesting in the next couple of weeks.
Sorry, we've gone over
And-
11
and,
minutes, but I missed.
okay,
I was watching the clock.
All right, so we're going to go on to our
If
awesome fan
anyone
questions.
if anyone wants to summarize
Yeah.
anything, feel free.
I kind of just did on mine. so.
Cool.
Yeah,
Anybody got
I
5
feel
points?
it was just kind of unlucky. Like,
Yes.
I think we actually played decently well, and I think we actually stepped up our game. I think that Cook did a good job with his lineup. I thought the team played pretty well. I just think we had one bad mistake from a guy that's been solid for us all year, and we had a couple unlucky balls that just didn't go in.
I agree. It didn't look as bad as I remember it through sober eyes. It looked a very offensive game. Just bad luck and a great keeper.
We've played worse games.
We were definitely offensive. Even as you said, we moved back to a 4-2-3-1. I didn't notice that, but we were more offensive then too.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing something
I was going
right.
to say, if it wasn't for Hamid, I think is how you pronounce it,
Hamid?
We would have won that game. He had some excellent saves.
Oh, yeah, he did.
And another thing here is just when I first saw the lineup and saw that DeFont wasn't on the lineup,
Well,
Harrison was in it right back. I was like, all right, this is a
the
good
font was
sign
on
going
yellow
forward.
card suspension.
Yeah,
so he
DeFont
couldn't
was
play.
Don't
suspended.
care. Don't ruin this for me.
Yeah, because I wanted him at the tailgate.
That would have
I was
been.
like, you have DeFont to give us.
Oh, that could have been brutal.
Hey, it's up to DeFont to want to come out. They don't force anyone.
Right.
But he would. I'm sure he would be met with class and dignity.
So yeah,
All right.
we got some Twitter questions to kind of give us some extra topics today. Austin, you want to give us that visual so I can run it down in your order?
So I got McCleve first. He sent a couple of them. His first one was one thing that we each want to see the team try now that we're basically out of the playoffs. So how would you like Cook to experiment?
Could we try winning?
No,
No,
it's a bridge too far.
we don't want to
Actually,
set
unfortunately-
expectations high for next season.
Unfortunately, when it comes to winning, all we can do is try.
Well, I think ideally, since they came out and say we're going to play attacking soccer, we want to kind of see more 18 shots at goal performance.
I think
or
Cookie's got the
more.
right mindset. I think he's just got to break those bad habits.
Yeah.
Bad in quotes.
Well, and I think, just it's going to take time for that. It really is cliche and hard to say, patience and time. But I think that's what it's going to take. I was at training a little bit, or I got a glimpse of some training on Monday, and they were working on an offensive drill in the offensive third of the field. I can't tell you when that's ever happened. Not a part of training. Like in the past, Connor and Spencer would work with guys after training or separately at the beginning of training a little bit, but mostly it was stuff done in the midfield and the back. This was practically everyone who didn't start or go 90 or most of the game wasn't a part of this drill because, it was Monday. But this was an attacking drill of getting the balls outside and in the box, just that kind of soccer that we've wanted to see. So they're working on it. And we did, I did get to see a little bit of Eigner and kind of what he does with playing outside on the wing. And it's kind of what we imagine with...
Sit on that because we got a question
Yeah.
about Eigner. And
Yeah.
we want to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, we'll get to that then.
Let's answer McLeaf's question.
Yeah, so that one thing that I want to see them try is just the attacking abilities that we have, because we clearly have them.
Yeah, they're doing exactly what I want to see them do. 18 shots is beyond my expectations for game one under Cook. So keep at it and work on finishing.
Yeah.
Even MLS gave us an article where they said it was not a lack of chance, it was a lack of finishing. What we already know has been our problem. MLS is finally judiciously speaking about.
Colin.
I just feel like I'm going to end up echoing what you guys have been saying.
Well, that's fine. You want to take on
I
one
want
of
to
the
see
other
more of an
questions?
offense.
He asked a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
We
He did.
can give you another one. Can we play a three-man?
s-
Quagmire's in my way.
A three-man back line.
Can we play a 3-man back line?
I do think it's possible.
Hey, that goes into Juan's question, too.
Yeah, it does. Juan's question is pretty much the same thing, which was could they play a 3-5-2 formation or something kind of like a 3-4-3 with an attack mid and two strikers?
With a healthy Schuberg and with a Ford I saw him put back there.
Yeah.
Ford didn't start this last game. I don't know if we touched on that.
No. And maybe that's what you could do when you have Watts, Schuberg, and Ford, and then you use I would almost use Marley as one of the kind of midfielder wing backs, but then I would make sure that Gashy's the other one. And then you could do Eigner and Doyle up front, and then Saeed, Nana, and Nazira.
Sounds like we have an embarrassment of riches as far as the back goes. I think any combination of three might have a fighting chance.
Yeah, the only downside to that is if one gets hurt, we're really kind of down to Bobby Burling and Mike DeFont.
Shit, I forget about Bobby Burling.
He's
What's his
healthy.
status?
He's good. He's good to go,
Good
man.
God.
Yeah.
We need that other 6'6" guy back there.
No, he's fine. He's good to go.
Well, good.
So
Glad to hear it.
yeah, he's back in training. Like he's fine. So I would expect him to be available for the 18 if need be, because we got 2 games this week, so we might be seeing some Bobby Burling. What did you guys think of Lewis Gill? Although we skipped over him in the
Oh yeah, it was
starting
his,
11,
it was his
but
debut.
He was his debut.
He
So
subbed in for Nana, didn't he?
yeah,
Yeah. He actually looked pretty good. A lot of energy. A lot of energy out of that guy. He was all over the place,
right.
which I like to see. It kind of reminds me of when Saeed first started.
Guys
It
are
was
happy
that
to
I'm
be
going to
here.
run around, I'm going to get the ball, I'm going to show that I'm a hard worker. And, obviously, like, he's not used to the team, so his passes might have been not as crisp as they could be, because you have to learn the team you're playing with. But he had a lot of fight in him, and that's really what we need, and that's what Smith's looking for, to be honest.
I thought Saeed had a really rough game. I didn't think he had a good time of it at all. I probably would have subbed him out early. I
Yeah,
was thinking he would have been my first one out.
My mom kept going off about that too.
Well, her and I were talking about that while you were upstairs.
Yeah. What can you
He'll
do?
get it back.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just it was a bad day. It
All right.
happens.
Next question.
So McCleve wanted to clarify. He wants to know what we want to see more out of a player mindset, such as
Oh,
more youngsters playing, that kind of thing. But we've already been seeing a lot of the youngsters play because of our injuries, in my opinion. So I want to actually see our DPs that haven't been playing all season.
Well, I'm kind of getting what I want. I wanted Nana out there. So that was kind of the big thing for me. And I think we're going to get to see Agner eventually. I would like to think that, the guy will get maybe 30 minutes out of the next 2 games. Whether it's all in one or not, I don't know. But I'd like to think that he'll travel with him and hopefully get some playing time. Although I don't know if playing on turf matters for him or not, because Portland's turf. But I'd like to see clearly him, and there really isn't anyone I want to take out to kind of see other guys play. I just want to see the guys put up a fight, and not give up.
Well,
I was just
we
talking
haven't
about
gotten to see our starting lineup all season. So this is the first time we've gotten to see Nana and Gashi play in the starting lineup together.
Right, and
All
then
season.
then add Agner, and it could be kind of.
I was actually just
Fun
talking
to
to
watch.
my step-brother-in-law the other day about our relationship with Charlotte and Switchbacks, and I think that we're doing great with those 2 programs for youngsters. I think Hairston benefited from Charlotte, as did
Castillo. Yeah,
and I think that whoever's there now,
Castillo.
no, our newest acquisition, our DU guy who went down,
Oh no, Sam's in.
Hamilton.
He's in Phoenix.
Hamilton went to Phoenix.
Phoenix
that's right.
Rising FC,
Yes.
which is
Okay.
still a great name for a team.
Yeah,
With Drogba.
yeah.
The MLS has set the bar low on naming your team, though, so Phoenix Rising is pretty good.
And I don't think we should really test things out at the end of the season. We've done so poor at the beginning of the season and lost so many fans. I think he needs to focus on trying to put some points on the board instead of on trying out players. Because we've seen so many different players playing lots of minutes all season long due to injury or just how Pablo coaches. I want to see us try and win back some fans by getting a couple of wins and trying to put out some exciting soccer on the field. Maybe we can get a few people to come back next year, because if you don't, you're going to miss that opportunity, and it's going to take all of next season to try and gain those people back.
Yeah, kind of show us the product that we're going to have next year, and give us, seeing as we're being promised that there will be some big moves coming in 2018. If we start to see this team really improve and find themselves, we're going to get really hopeful in the off season. I mean, it's going to be really, really hard to wait until probably mid-January or February, because that's when we'll start getting news. But we'll be hopeful, and we'll have a lot to hope about.
But we'll be here. We'll be talking about it either way, even if it's all about Harry Potter. But again, I don't know what Pablo's pregame match speech sounded like, but I really liked what Cookie said. Dig in when you got to dig in, and be creative when you need to be creative. Putting all of that mindfulness back onto the players. That's what soccer is. Soccer is smart people playing a smart game. It's a game of chess. It's a battle and a war. And it's not throw ball where you're reading a pass play off of your wrist, and if they throw to the ground, it's because that person got hung up, but they can't adjust in the thing. Soccer is for smart people. And I like that smart people are being able to use their brains. Maybe Pablo said the same thing. I don't know. It didn't look like they had a lot of free will under Pablo.
It's a really kind of a good way of putting it, free will,
yeah,
because I
that's
did
what I
feel
want.
like these guys weren't playing
Be creative when you need to be creative. I love that line.
to their professional level ability.
Keep creative. It's our next scar.
I've been hearing just some things coming out from the different players over Pablo's. Basically after he left, the question was, what was playing under Pablo like? And they said they were kind of playing for Pablo, not for a win.
The sad thing is that was so obvious to us
Pablo
fans.
player, that was it.
The sad thing is we called it like every time. Oh, Doyle didn't start, he must have pissed off Pablo. That was something we were saying. It got to that point. It's really sad that it was at that point, but it was kind of obvious to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not just that though. I mean, they did say he never lost the locker room, or however you want to phrase it. But I almost wonder if it would have been better if they did.
Well, if he did, it might have happened sooner. But I think it probably there's a lot of things that probably took place to why it happened when it did. And
but we can probably have this discussion more when we start talking Cook.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah, put a pin in that because we need to talk about why the timing. Why the timing? That's a big question across the nation.
Yeah.
Why now?
So let's jump on to Juan and his formation change, and then we'll jump on to Cook because Burgundy Wave had a question about Cook. We got a question from our man Juan, who's been on the cast before. He wants to know if we can play a specific formation that he came up with. Which I will bring up.
He's going to put the graphic up for the live viewers.
Sorry.
And so it's got Howard in the back, or obviously in goal, and then Miller, Schuberg, and Ford as a 3 defensive line. Cerna, Saeed, Gashi, Azira, Nana, and Harrison kind of in the midfield. Gashi kind of pushing up more as a offensive mid, while you have a 4 behind him, with Doyle and Baji up top. So it's a 3-4-1-2.
Something like that.
All right, so here's what I would change. I would keep Nana where Azira's at, and then I would take Cerna out and put in Eigner. And then there you go. That's a dangerous lineup. Or switch Eigner and Gashi, because Eigner can play under forwards. And we know Gashi likes to hang out wide and cut in.
And he's a lefty, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, I would swing Gashi out.
Yeah, exactly.
To Cerna.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, stop fighting, you two.
I think with how and we know Miller can be pretty solid as a center back, and I had a hard time naming it earlier when we brought it up because I didn't want to pull him out of the lineup. So that works for me. And I think with the defensive ability that we have, we could easily pull off 3 in the back. And with wingers, Hairston definitely for sure. He's going to give you a little bit of extra help on that defensive side, whereas Gashi's not going to give you that defensive. He's not going to go box to box as fast or as willing as Hairston will. But Miller being Miller, he can cover some extra space for you, and Saeed too. So it could work.
I don't know if I would start Miller and Ford over Watt in that back line. I think he helps us kind of solidify back there, kind of like Schubert.
Yeah, that's where you put really Watson and you have Ford on the bench.
Yeah, because I don't
he is still a rookie.
And I like Ford. I think he's a solid rookie, but I don't think he's better than Watts or to start over him, especially in a 3-back defense.
You got to be pretty strong-minded and responsible, especially.
You don't make mistakes when you have a 3-back. You can't have mistakes when you're a 3-back.
Nope, and you're not passing back to your goalkeeper unless you have to.
Yeah, and you take that pressure off of Howard so he can fight in the actual battle.
All right, cool. Let's hit up the Burgundy Wave questions.
Okay.
Speaking of Burgundy Wave, while you pull those up, they're looking for a story from any of you guys that are listening, not just the cast, but listeners. If anyone has been to RSL or has an RSL story that is pretty humorous or funny, that is not too over the top to be published on Burgundy Wave, then hit up Abby Mood on Twitter.
I'd say rate it PG-13.
PG-14, kind of like Big Brother After Dark.
I know there's several hundred of you that have awesome stories from RSL.
Even if you can kind of just share with the Burgundy Wave, and they'll publish your stories. So hit them up. So
you should embed one of them on the bus this weekend.
There you go, just like we are with Colin. All right, so Burgundy Wave question. Steve Cook.
They're wondering if Kroenke's going to shell out any money for a new coach, or just basically remove the interim tag for Steve Cook, which I thought would be great into our Steve Cook discussion, our Pablo discussion. But what do you guys think? I'm going to go with Colin first this time. Brennan and I have been doing a lot of
Colin,
talking.
we're being assigned.
Damn it!
It sounds to me like Cook would be good. I'd like to see a little bit more from him before I really make a decision. But for also what it sounds like, it looks like they're actually looking for a new coach, not just giving it to Cook straight up.
No, I think the question is, are they really doing that?
I know. I'm saying it sounds like they would.
But do you think they're really?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
They
convey
did a
the
hard
tone of
search when they
Burgundy
hired
Red.
Pablo,
Like,
too.
they're really gonna look.
It's kind of like one of those questions. If they won't shell out a heavy transfer fee for a player, would they shell out a heavy salary for a coach? I think that's kind of what the question was asking in a nice way.
I prefer to think of this in the positive, hopeful land of gumdrops and ice cream here.
What
We're
kind of
not
Rapids
actually
fan
going
are
to get
you?
one.
We'll see. And this
One in
question,
denial, firmly in
A
denial.
rookie, that's what he's
Well-
a rookie Rapids fan.
That's also true.
there's a sub question to this that was also asked by someone else on Twitter and we tried to attack this last week as who would you want as a potential coach?
Wait, did Austin call on you?
And he didn't, but you might as
Yeah,
well
we know it's a discussion now. I wanted to let Colin go.
you might as well add it to
His
your
opportunity.
answer, because if they're not going to shell out the money, then there's your answer. That's how you want to look at it. I think that there are a lot of different ways of looking at it, and I'll get to that when it's my turn. But sorry, go ahead, Colin.
The Rapids are $6 million in the red. And what they did last year isn't getting them any revenue. So I think now's not the time to cheap out. You're already losing millions of dollars a year. You got to try to fix it. Even as a businessman who doesn't give a shit, you got to try to fix that just so you can brag to your Donald Trump at
But
Mar-a-Lago.
he makes so much money off of that property.
Yeah, but look who his
Like,
probably his
that's
friends
the
are.
Wait,
Like,
who
he's
are we
got
talking
some-
about
We're talking
now?
about
Trump or
Kroenke.
the other guy?
We're talking about Kroenke,
Oh.
and the guy's got to save face. Like, he's bleeding $6 million a year on this club. And we'll get into the question about moving him, but he's going to have to answer for that to a lot of people, including the Trump types who do their whole dick measuring contests, And they're gonna say, why are you soaking in $6 million on a club? Why don't you just sell it or fix it? And he's gonna have to answer to scary people.
Okay.
I don't
I'd
know.
like to see him fix it.
It's bad business to lose
again,
$6
this is
million a
the
year.
optimist look here, but I'd like to see him go, all right, we're going to double down on this thing, get a real coach with some real credentials, and basically kick the team into high gear.
At this point, he couldn't sell it for a profit. So fix it, because otherwise you're going to take a loss. And what's the point of
So
that?
I guess
Unless you're
my
gonna
big
sell it to
question
C38.
is
Then by
at
all
what
means,
point
that.
do you think? Oh, can't. At what point do you think that Cook earned the position?
Oh, when
That's
Porig,
more my bigger question.
when
You got
Porig
Cook in there.
anoints
He's been
him head
coaching here
coach.
for 7 years.
Yeah.
At what point do you think, oh, he actually put a team out there, he's gotten this record or done this stat or brought this team back over the course of the next, 9 games? Do you go, okay, Cook deserves that. So him hiring Cook isn't a negative anymore. It's a positive.
Well, they put all the pressure on themselves, Porig and Wayne, to show that they're looking. And if Cook turns out to be the guy, then that's what they choose. But he's being watched. He's auditioning just like everybody prospective overseas.
That's assuming.
And they know they've gone out and they've put their skin on the line and said, we're going to find the best person. If that's Cook, we kind of got to believe that that's the best one they found.
And that's assuming he fully wants the job. It could have been one of those things where he was like, yeah, I got no problem taking over this team for however long it takes you to find somebody. We don't know.
And I'm sure they've told him, look, your job isn't in jeopardy. If we don't hire you as coach, you're not fired. You go back to where you were. It's not like prove you're the man for the job or fuck off.
No.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of like running for president and losing?
I don't think so, because I think I'm not a coach, but I think if you go into coaching, that's kind of the system in place. You step up when you're needed, and you step down when you're needed to step down. Because the alternative is you're out of a job, and what's the bright side of that?
I don't think it would be a bad thing to kind of give him the rest of the season as an audition. I think that's kind of what you do with coaches in an interim position.
Well, they have the luxury of being able to audition him in a real world
That's
situation.
kind of your way of saying, all right, well, you have this many games to kind of show us what your philosophy is and what impact you have on the players. And it's up to the front office to kind of look at it, realistically as did he get, a job done, and can he continue to do so? Or I think to go back fully to the Kroenke thing, I think that they have probably a basket of guys that they can talk to and see if they're available and interested in the job. But I don't know if the Rapids are as appealing as they used to be. But, I mean, I think if you look at this roster and if you're an attack-minded coach, and I'd like to think that between Wayne and Parig, they can make a hell of a sales pitch. So if they really want to bring in somebody different, they're going to bring in somebody different, but it's, a matter of time. I would like to think that if they are truly set on bringing in someone and Cookie's just a short term to get them through, a handful of weeks, it's going to happen before the end of the season.
Well, that'll kind of show that they're not rushing to fill the position, too, because, we all have assumed that the season is lost. We've known this, even though they won't say it. So there's no downside to taking your time, getting the right person. The problem they're going to face is if Cookie is the right person and he makes the right money and everything is great and he was the right person for the last 7 years, they're still going to have to convince the fans and the Burgundy Wave types who are asking these questions that they did try to find the best guy and this was it. Because the knee-jerk reaction is going to be, they just made the simple decision. They went the convenient route, even if they don't. So their problem is going to be proving that they didn't, if Cookie happens to be the guy.
So look at it this way. So if we're just going back to Kroenke shelling out money instead of taking Cook and his abilities out of it, just assume that whether they're willing to shell out money, they were willing to fire Pablo and keep paying his salary because that's part of his contract. I don't know how long they're paying his salary or at what that severance pay is, but they're still paying money to Pablo. So the fact that they let Padraig fire him 3/4 of the way through this season kind of tells you that they're willing to maybe go spend some money on a coach, whether it's Cook or not. And it might not be a huge amount. Like, you're not going to get some all-star coach, but most MLS teams aren't. So I just think that they showed that they're willing to take a money hit to try and correct the problems with this team. And that makes me hopeful that they'll make the right decision and do the right search, whether it's Cook or not, to bring in a proper coach.
That's a damn good point. And I like to think that my Hitler video got the wheels turning, because being derided by Hitler really hurts, even if you're Stan Kroenke. It's like, oh my God, Hitler thinks that about me? I better straighten up and fly right.
You have to feed his mustache
welcome.
game.
You're welcome, Rapids Nation.
What's next?
Oh.
What? Oh.
There was another thing we almost segued into until I derailed us. Juan wanted us to each name our preferences for coach.
Yeah, that was it.
But before we do that, because I wasn't here last week, I didn't get to say a proper goodbye, and I was thinking about Pablo and The Office and how he was kind of the Andy Bernard, he was made boss because it was easy. And even though he was he had the support of all the staff at The Office, of course. So I just got thinking, well, he was the Andy Bernard, but even Andy Bernard didn't work out. So I made a little tribute for Pablo, the player. Always will be a legend.
I will remember you.
You know,
I think you got to consistently put out good products.
Will you remember me?
Bring big name players from abroad, but grow your own talent.
Don't let your life pass you by.
It's been nice to grow with both the team and the city.
And weep not for the memory.
I mean, it's just a real honor to have worn the Rapids jersey for so long.
Remember all the good times that we had.
I'll have nothing but great memories of my career here in Colorado.
Let them slip away from us when things got bad.
Hopefully I have the opportunity to raise my children here and continue living here and call this home.
How clearly I first saw you smiling in the sun. I wanna feel your warmth upon me. I wanna be the one.
Change takes time in every aspect of life.
I will remember you.
Players, coaches, club, everyone wants to win. Everyone wants how are we gonna do it? We need to do it now.
Will you remember me?
I've only played one way, and that's with a lot of heart, a lot of passion.
Don't let your life pass you by.
I go in every day to get better.
And weep not for.
I think this team is capable of reaching the playoffs and beyond.
Don't let your life pass you by.
To all his friends, for whom the stories never end.
That's right.
The good times, bad times we have shared. For you're the few I ever cared.
Weep not for the memories.
Now that's Pablo the player, the captain of the 2010 MLS championship, winning Colorado Rapids, and we should all know a person like that.
Dude,
Pablo the coach,
thank you.
it had to be done.
This cast
Pablo
is
the
missing
player.
shit when you're not here.
I feel like every
Appreciate
time I
that.
do something, you're just waiting it for it to be funny, and this was not.
No,
so
but
this was a loving tribute
It was still epically
to a
awesome.
legend.
Doesn't have to always be funny. Big ups, man.
Okay, so on to Juan's question. Who would you pick to be coach? Money's not an object, let's say. And the world is your playground. Do they have to be free? Like, because I don't know
Can I
any.
just
I don't know any of the
pass?
unemployed coaches that are out there.
How can you pass?
There may be an amazing Yugoslavian coach that needs a job. I don't know him.
I don't know much
Right.
about coaches, to tell you the truth. I don't
Yeah,
know
me
who's free.
either.
I don't know who's good.
I'm the same way.
Ryan Giggs. Let's bring in
Ryan
Ryan Giggs. He coached Man U for a little
What
bit.
is no? What is he doing now? Like he quit Man U a long time ago.
Yeah, he left because he got replaced as coach.
Oh, did he leave or did he get?
I don't know what
sacked?
he's doing. He left. He knew that he wasn't. I'm pretty sure he knew he wasn't going to be sticking around that long.
Did he want to be head coach and didn't get it, so he quit?
Maybe. Who knows? I didn't read that
I'm
far
a-
into it, but I thought he did a decent job with Man U. But that's with people that cost more than our entire budget.
Well, I'm open to a Ryan Giggs.
Gordon Strachan.
Who's that?
It's the coach of the Scottish national team.
How'd they do in the World Cup? The last 4 World Cups.
They fired the guy before him.
Oh.
I don't know. I honestly, I'd like to see Cookie get a good run at it, to be honest.
He's got the edge. He's actual real world auditioning right now.
Yeah.
He's off to a good start. It
And he
didn't
knows
it
the
didn't end
team.
well.
He knows the team. He has the trust of the team, and not in the way that Pablo did when he took over. He's been coaching them for 7 years, and granted, the players, we have like no tenured players left. But the fact that he's seen the locker room transition,
Hurston.
he's been dealing with the front office. I think that he's got an advantage there,
But it's not
as long
just-
as he doesn't screw it up.
It's funny with Cerna being the most senior guy. When I was 16, I worked in fast food, and one of the guys underneath me was like 45 and used to own a restaurant, and I had to teach him how to make French fries. just a thought that popped into my head.
Cerna's like, welcome to Colorado. Cookie's also worked with the youth and the academy, so he also knows players that are coming up, and it's not. I think he's just been so involved in this club that it's a different kind of perspective, because when we gave Pablo the job, he had been involved with the club, but at a whole different level. Cookie's been coaching all his life. I mean, that's what he grew up and done. He hasn't done anything else. He didn't fall into it. He's been coaching, so it's kind of what he does.
And he came from Sheffield, right?
Yep.
Were they top tier at the time?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
It's
I don't
hard
know
to
if they're
tell
top
when
tier
they were
now.
top tier. No, they're not.
They're not now?
No.
Okay.
So something that kind of popped into my mind as we were talking. What do you think would have happened at the end of last season if it was as poor as this season? What do you think do you think they would have fired Pablo back then, or fired him at the end of the season?
He wouldn't have got that contract.
It kind of depends on what role Hinchy played in the whole thing.
That's
It might have been
yeah.
it might have been a 1-year extension if Hinchy was protecting him. If not, he might have been out then.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot all about that. Because who knows?
I
Yeah.
know in my world, some people are protected by big people, and some people are not. And I see a lot of parallels in what I do versus sports.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right.
Anytime contracts come into play. And like I said, this proves that contract did nothing to protect Pablo. It just got him a little payout, whatever that payout is. Didn't mean he was here for 3 years. So, lesson learned.
All right. Next question.
That's all I actually.
Sorry, Juan, we didn't really
my questions.
answer
Yeah.
that.
Well, because we don't. It's hard. I don't watch.
We pushed out on
It's
the
very hard.
head coach question, I guess.
It's very hard, but he has 2 and he got 1, so there you go.
All right.
So, but
Wait, didn't we have another
on
one?
top of
Wasn't
that?
there,
Well, are we
Should we
going to
talk about-
answer
There was another
Gavin's
one.
question?
Oh, we got Gavin too. Gavin came in late, but wasn't there another one I read you that we didn't get to? Somebody that's not actually a regular in our lives.
Well, you had one that will they move the Rapids?
Yeah, that's it. Would we move the Rapids? And that question came from Mr. Seditious B. McFadden
No, they ain't gonna.
or
move the
Zonda
Rapids.
Sandwich on Twitter.
I mean,
Well, why wouldn't they move the Rapids? The Rapids are losing money. Our attendance sucks.
that's something that some of the other teams have also got going on too. I
But
think that
when you put a
We're
new
not
market,
there.
look at every new market since 2011.
we're not
and how they
Chivas,
sell
man.
out.
It's not there, and clearly,
Look at Minnesota. Look at what Miami could be. I mean, why not sell to Beckham?
well, and he wouldn't give up 51% stake in Arsenal for a ridiculous amount of money.
You can't compare the Rapids to Arsenal.
I don't think he would sell
just
certain
did.
things.
No, I don't think I don't think it's valid. I don't accept it as an
I
argument.
think your bigger problem is that he makes a ton of money off of that property, and if you sell the Rapids, there's a giant stadium. Like, granted, he'll still have tournaments out there, but there's a giant stadium taking up a bunch of space that he's going to have to tear down and figure out what to put there. And I think that he keeps the Rapids around because he can literally sell that weekend. Every weekend he sells that thing out to a tournament or some kind of event, and that's a ton of money going into his pocket from property, and that's what he's known for. He's a
What?
property guy. So the
That's
Rapids
true.
are just kind of there to be there.
That's the one good thing I've heard about Kroenke is from an Avs fan that says he only focuses on one thing at a time, and if you're not in his focus, you're cool, you're good to go. So he's focused on LA for at least a year on his Rams.
Maybe 2, depending on the
If
hype.
he ever takes an interest in the Rapids, then I'll be worried.
Well, the last time he took an interest was at the Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
So he can take an interest then because we won it.
Yeah, if he suspiciously takes
But,
an
I mean, and
interest.
a lot of people have got to remember that technically Stan doesn't own them. I mean, in order to own the Rams, he had to give up all his other sports teams, not just the ones
No,
here.
he gave
but-
it to his wife and his son.
Well, he gave it to Kroenke Sports Enterprises,
To his
which
wife and his
technically,
son.
is them. So we can harp on Stan all we want. It doesn't really make an effect. It's not Stan. It's Crunky
He's
Sports
still the
Enterprises.
patriarch.
So.
He's the patriarch of a
Right.
corporation.
He's the face of it. So it's kind of
he's the hairpiece of the corporation.
Let's talk about some positives about this new front office, though. They've cleaned house. We're going to be getting players back out at our tailgate. We're getting in good relationships with people. What?
Why are you whispering?
Oh, why is there an echo now?
But like we're actually getting to talk with people again, and you got to see the media in a locker room, which Pablo never allowed. Like you're getting to see a lot of better communication and better relationships with the outside world that I think that the old guard that is now gone wouldn't allow. And I think that's going to help tremendously just communication-wise with people. Every team goes through bad years, but with no communication is what really killed them this year.
I mean,
if they had come out.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, man, but I don't know about you guys and how long you've been, paying attention to this team, but this is the first time that I feel comfortable with my front office staff. Not like comfortable as in relationships or, things like I feel comfortable that they're competent in what they do and what they're going to do. And that was before the little mission statement and stuff like that. I just felt like finally we have guys that are qualified to be in the positions that they're in. And we've kind of been able to slowly see what Parig's been able to do. And he might have been a little handcuffed because of Tim. Things are different now. And like we were saying about Cookie, auditioning for a job, so are Wayne and Parig. And I think they really want their job. So, I mean, I know I sure as shit would. So, yeah, I got confidence in these guys, which is really kind of the first time being a Rapids fan, I can say.
I'm just floored how they've really reached out to C38 in general after what has been a couple of months of rockiness. We had Padraig, Wayne, Ryan, a few other staff members all out at the tailgate hanging out, talking with people.
I think the assistant governor was out there too.
Like that's just insane to see that kind of outreach, and I would love to thank them for that. That's great that they're reaching back out, because I think that helps both of us. So, and we rode them really hard for the last few months about the shit we've had to deal with them kind of pouting, and I think they deserve some credit for doing the right thing.
It wasn't them pouting, it was one person pouting, and it trickled down. And now it's kind of like, well, all that's gone, and we're all on the same page now, and it'll be fun from here on out. It'll be like it was last year. So yay.
We're getting kind of tight on time, but let's get Christopher Gavin's one of his questions. We've answered pretty much all the rest, but have you seen anything from Eigner in training camp that would get Rapids fans excited?
So yes, I have. He's more fit than he thinks he is, so I think it's only a matter of time before he really does touch the pitch. That's no joke. This guy can cross the ball really, really well, and like just really good weighted balls from outside in, and he's got a heck of a shot, and he's thinking on the ball. It's good to see. It really, yeah, and I think what also it does, and I kind of mentioned it, and now it kind of confirms it does up the game of everyone else around him, because everyone else is trying that much harder. Everyone else is putting in that much more effort. There's no one really going 98%. And that's, I don't know if it's because of the way Eigner plays now, or if it's, just his presence, or a combination of things, but there's some differences, and yeah, there's a reason to get excited.
Cool.
Well, that's good to hear.
All right. Well, is there really any? We probably shouldn't spend much time on Portland, considering it drops the day of.
Yeah, this is 55 minutes in already.
All right,
and
so
I'm going to drop this as early as I can tomorrow.
Score predictions for Wednesday's game, guys.
2-0.
One
Rapids.
nothing.
I'm hopeful.
1-0 Rapids. I think we'll find the net at some point.
That'll be the first win there since 2000 and I want to say it's 9, maybe 10.
Let's see. The last time we played Portland, we were here. We won 2-1, which means the Rapids have scored on Howard more than twice as much as the Timbers have scored on Howard.
We haven't done well in Portland, but I don't think it really matters.
Yeah.
I 3-1 us.
Oh, nice. Colin?
2-1. I don't think we're going to completely blow them out of the water here.
Okay.
They do have
Says
Valeri.
Mr. Gumdrops and Rainbows.
I'm selectively optimistic.
All right. Well, I guess that's enough discussion about that. On the next pregame.
RSL. Okay. Going to RSL and RSL.
What's the Rocky Mountain Cup sitting at now? What's the tally? Because I didn't check the last game. Did they beat us badly?
No.
That was the 2-1.
Okay, so it's only
Loss,
a
I believe.
1 goal difference on the Rocky Mountain Cup. We could still salvage that this season. That's something to shoot for. That's realistic.
And I don't think that the club is looking past it. I think that they also see it as there's still an opportunity to win some silverware, despite how bad the season's been.
And if they want to get back in C38's good graces, that's what they'll focus on.
That's very true. Well, it's not just C38, but yes, that wouldn't hurt. But we also don't do well in Salt Lake. But
we haven't won in
we don't
Rio
do well
Tinto ever.
We don't do well on the road this year, in particular.
It's been a while since we've had a win streak. Let's go 1-0.
I think there would be a lot of poetic justice in us letting RSL be like the turning point for the rest of the season. Get a 3-point win there. We get our first win on the road. We break RSL down a little bit. We get back up into the Rocky Mountain Cup. Like, that is, I think, the game more than any other game the rest of the season that I want to see us get an away win.
I agree completely, but you left out the fact that that's the fucking team that ended our home streak.
That's part of the poetic justice, too.
Oh, I know.
To go over there, and yeah, it would be nice.
And we are bringing 120 people. There's going to be 120 people, 2 buses, and people flying in to see that game.
Yep, and Colin's going to be the war reporter, so stay tuned for his journalistic experience.
Follow him now, the Ace Arbiter.
All right.
Follow us on all of our social media. And I'm going to throw out there another opportunity to reach out to us. I'm going to open up our Discord where we tend to chat about all of our podcasts and soccer-related stuff. So expect a tweet out with a link to our Discord where you can kind of hang out and chat with us whenever and however. It's just another medium to talk with us.
All right. Anything else, guys? Final thoughts?
Score predictions for RSL?
I said 1-0.
3-0.
I'm going 2-1 because I want the drama of leveling off the Rocky Mountain Cup.
Well, there will be drama.
Same.
Yeah, just so we can have the really dramatic conclusion in that third game.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
Like it used to be. The end of the season, it all comes down to that.
So that Pickens can kick it into the back of a player into the goal.
Yeah. See you guys next week. Win streak.
I get smooth when I've been drinking. I get smooth when I've been